But let's start with our kickoff segment sponsored by Canada Kicking Academy, calling all kickers and punters in the Southern Ontario region. If you are looking for year-round professional development with elite competition, you need to train with the Canada Kicking Academy. The Ferraro brothers, Daniel and Gabe, are both University of Guelph alumni, and they want to take your special teams game to the next level. If you want more information, visit them at CanadaKickingAcademy.com or on Instagram at Canada Kicking Academy. And boys, we're starting with the NFL. Super Bowl weekend was last weekend. We had a very entertaining game between the Rams and the Bengals. Lots of storylines to talk about. Joe Burrow almost getting his knee destroyed. OBJ leaving the game due to injury. Aaron Donald having a phenomenal game. Matt Stafford getting his Super Bowl. Kyle, it had everything.
It had everything you could possibly want from a Super Bowl, to be honest. I mean, you had a fantastic game. You had a fantastic halftime show. You really can't go wrong with watching that game. It was definitely one of those ones where that's exactly what you want. It was basically the complete opposite of that Rams-Patriots Super Bowl where that's everything you don't want. So it was one of those. The fact that all happened, it was a fantastic game. Literally came down to a last-minute drive, which is exactly what I was hoping for. It was perfect. You can't go wrong with it. So,
Irfan, what were your thoughts on the game?
Good. I mean, for being a neutral for the first time in a few years, that was nice. Just joking. Just
True.
joking. No, it was a good game. I mean, a lot of I think both teams had enough chances to actually pull it and win this game. I thought, not everyone was strong defensively or strong offensively. It was just great moments by both sides to get a win. So I was pretty impressed with the level of compete. It was really nice to see Joe Burrow play well. Like you mentioned at the top, the almost destroying his leg was a little tough to see.
That scared me.
Yeah, I mean, it was ridiculous how the Bengals defense did not protect him for most of the game. Like, what was it, 19 sacks through the whole playoffs or something like that? Like, that's just a ridiculous thing. I think that's one thing the Bengals need to concern themselves with the offseason. I know that's not what the Super Bowl was about, but I mean, that was the biggest thing that kind of stood out there was, are you kidding me? Like, how are people getting to your quarterback and your young quarterback who missed most of the year with an injury last season? So That was
and to be honest, it did come down to offensive line because if you actually, I don't know if you guys saw the actual last play, Jamar Chase absolutely burned Jalen Ramsey and was wide open by probably 15 yards. And if Joe Burrow had 2 more seconds to throw, Bengals win on a touchdown, basically.
100%.
Because he was wide open. It wasn't even close.
It was the record for number of sacks in a single postseason against a single quarterback. And not even close.
And it broke the Titans record that they set 2 weeks earlier, wasn't it? Or 3 weeks earlier?
No. The Titans sacked him 9 times.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm saying single postseason.
Oh, okay.
He was sacked 19 times. The record before this was 14.
Yeah.
So it's not like they beat up by 1. They gave up 5 more sacks than any other offensive line in a postseason ever. That's not good enough. And if you're the Bengals, your first 3 draft picks are all offensive linemen.
I don't know about that, to be honest. I think the first round pick will be for sure, but I think they have to address it in free agency. I don't think this is the type of team that is going to rely on a rookie tackle.
Right.
I think this is the type of team that needs to get a younger 27-year-old guy or whatever who's been there in the league a couple times, but is dependable, who can can be your left tackle and block his blind side.
Who would be a nice addition to that team? And I know he might not be playing next year. He's trying to decide on his future. But what about Laurent Duvernay-Tardif? He'd be a nice addition to that offensive line.
Yeah, wasn't he playing guard though?
Honestly, they need all the help they can get right now.
No, I'm saying the biggest needs for me on that line is the tackles. They have to replace both tackles.
Fair enough.
And I mean, I think Riley Reef was playing for them, I think, a bit, and he didn't really do great.
Everybody playing at that point,
so,
didn't they?
To me, I look at, if you want a true upgrade, you look at Teron Armstead, best tackle out there right now.
Yep.
But we'll see.
Yeah. But
Let's
at the
get
same
in.
time, you can bring guys in now because they see the capacity of this
Yeah.
Bengals team, and I think that's your biggest sell is look what Burrow can do. Imagine if you protect them better and we win that game.
100%.
And honestly, like, I don't see many other huge holes in that roster. Like, yeah, they can improve on the defensive a little bit, maybe the defensive line, maybe a little bit in the secondary. Their offensive skill positions, they don't need a whole lot, right? Like, they're pretty set at the skill positions, which is the hardest positions to usually fill. So the holes are small other than that offensive line. You shore up that offensive line, this Bengals team is scary.
Yeah, I think the biggest outlier to me is that the corner spot. That's the biggest thing because they're losing, I think, 6 corners to free agency.
Right. And
So
how many come back? How many go somewhere else? Like there's questions. Obviously, I'm not saying there's no other
no,
questions other than the offensive
no,
line.
but to be honest, other than corner, I think linebacker. They're set. I think Wilson showed he's truly a sideline linebacker. They do have is it Njobu or I can't remember his name, the defensive tackle who was a free agent. So you have to re-sign him, obviously, but I mean. He was a key piece of that defensive line to stopping that run game because the Rams had 0 run game in that Super Bowl.
Right.
Oh,
So
absolutely. Yeah.
it is one of those. I think if you shore up the corner spots a little bit, and I hear that Malcolm Butler apparently got released off the retired list, so he might be coming back. Does he potentially go to Cincinnati? It could be a good opportunity, maybe run back for a Super Bowl, and you potentially get a number 1 corner for probably not very much. So
That's true. There's tons of possibilities. Obviously, we'll get into the free agency and stuff after the draft. Let's turn our attention a little bit to the Rams. We've talked a lot about the Bengals. Let's go to the Rams side and like honestly, watching them celebrate was like tear jerking at some points. Like Aaron Donald with his kids in the confetti was adorable. Matt Stafford, same thing. Like seeing him with his wife, seeing him with his family after everything that family has gone through. Obviously his wife with the diagnosis and fighting that, coming out up better on the other side. Stafford having to deal with the Detroit Lions for 12 years. Right? Like it was kind of just heartwarming to see them after, right, Irfan?
Very much so. I mean, we talked about it last Saturday where if it was the conversation between elite and you know
Great.
top tier. Maybe we should pose this question to Kyle after, but
Yes.
it was really nice to see how a guy who struggled in Detroit. What do you give? What happens when you give him decent wide receivers and tight ends and
struggle
holy
is a
crap.
very loose term. He actually had a lot of success in Detroit.
Right, but I'm just saying that the Lions collectively weren't a team that you look on paper and
No.
you go, you guys don't really scare me. Maybe, in their division, teams were, weary of them because they understood how good Stafford was. But aside from their division, you probably be like, it's the Lions. What are you going to do, But now you give him, Cup, you give him OBJ, you give him all these different weapons, Akers on a run game, even though the run game wasn't very good. But you know what I mean? Like you give him all these good players and they're capable of winning it. So, I mean, if he retires now, I mean, I'd be very happy for him. But if he continues it back, it'd be interesting to see if he can double up.
Yeah, I don't think he retires personally, but it's possible, obviously.
He's on a team that can actually win the Super Bowl.
He's going to milk the shit out of it if he can. He's going to be like, all right, we're going to win. Done. No problem. I'll stay here.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, everybody's leaving? Okay, I'm gone.
Exactly. It depends on who they re-sign. If OBJ
He's got another
resign,
year under contract anyways. So
yeah. But if OBJ and Miller resigns, he does not retire. If they don't, and the question marks are starting to arise, maybe he goes out on top. But I don't see it happening. I think the Rams are going to re-sign most of their guys and try to run it back.
We'll see what happens with Donald. I think that's the biggest question.
Well, Donald already said if you re-sign OBJ and Von Miller, I'm back. So there's your answer. You have the formula to bring Donald back. It's very simple.
Well, and I think it's going to be very interesting to see what money that is because they don't have a whole lot of cap space. So
right.
It's going to come down to dollar value versus actual value. So we'll have to see what goes on with that. I mean, I said this before the Super Bowl. I think this was the one of the few Super Bowls I didn't care who won.
Yeah,
I mean,
we said that
it
last
was
week.
it was one of those ones where it's like, if either team wins, good for them. If Cincinnati wins, first time in franchise history, congrats. Right? If the Rams win, finally Stafford got out of Detroit, wins in his first year out of Detroit. Funny how that works. So,
It's
and then
amazing.
OBJ, obviously everything that went on with him, congrats on the win. Like I had no problem with either team winning. So I think it's one of the few times where it's like, hey, I have no issues. Can celebrate the Super Bowl, no problem, like that type of stuff. So, I mean, I will say this: McVay called a terrible game, and the Rams probably should have lost that game. But that's a different story.
I want to touch on OBJ quickly, and then Irfan, you can pose that question to Kyle that we asked last week.
Sure.
But that was tough to watch. After everything that he has gone through, after dealing with the circus that was the New York media, and then going to Cleveland and having all of this put on him, that they were struggling when it looks like it wasn't his fault necessarily. And then going to the Rams, having so much success, getting to the Super Bowl, and halfway through, what was it, the first quarter or the second quarter? I think it was the second quarter. First half, regardless.
Yeah.
He goes down on a non-contact injury, torn ACL. And when he came back out onto the sidelines in street clothes, you could see that he had been like just destroyed in the locker room, crying, everything, right? Like that is hard to watch. To see him celebrate was great. Do you think the Rams bring him back next year? We have Dexy65 in the comments saying that he won't be back because he's going to miss the whole year with the torn ACL. He's going to miss time, obviously. There's no doubt about it. But if he will play at some point next year, which I do think he will, ACL returns are usually about 9 months now for these elite athletes in like the NBA, NHL, NFL.
Yeah, he won't miss the whole season. To be honest, he'll be probably back by middle of the season.
I would say October,
which is week 7, week 8, which is literally
depends on when in October, but yeah.
So to me, I would say that do re-sign him. My biggest thing is he okay with being the number 3 option? I guess that's my biggest thing. Because Robert Woods is coming back and he is the number 2 option, and Robert Woods is a superior wide receiver right now to OBJ, and I don't think it's close.
So then the question then becomes, like, can they do a 2A, 2B sort of thing, depending on the game, right? Depending on what they need, because they're 2 different receivers, right? I agree that Robert Woods is probably the better receiver out of the 2 of them, but some games, they might need somebody like OBJ to open up the game, right? So is it
for sure.
Can they pitch to him being a 2A, 2B sort of scenario like we see in the NHL all the time with tandem goaltenders?
Yeah, I think the only difference is it's not a 1A, 1B, it's a 2A, 2B.
Exactly.
So somebody gets that third option, which isn't always ideal because Cooper Kupp's on the other side and he is going to get the lion's share of targets.
Of course.
It's simple as that. So it's going to be one of those, if he, obviously he'll be out for at least probably half the year with an injury. So it's as long as he's okay with coming back, and maybe that helps him being the third option when he comes back because he doesn't have to go all out and be the number 2 wide receiver. He can take his time, come back slowly, and do it that way. Maybe that works out better in his favor, and plus probably works out better in the Rams' perspective because it'll be a cheaper contract because he won't be playing half the season.
Exactly.
So I mean, I do think he'll probably will go back. And there's probably potentially better options, but who knows?
Irfan, anything you wanted to add on that? Or?
Yeah, I think going to the game, when OBJ made that touchdown catch, I was like, holy shit, is this guy going to be the MVP of this game? Because like he was like
it was
running,
looking like it there for a while,
right? Like he was carrying, like he like I think the Bengals defense had a much harder time when OBJ was on the field because then they were like, oh, we have to pay attention to 2 really good guys.
Yep.
And they were letting him go. That was the thing because they were more scared of what Cooper Kupp could do, and then realized that OBJ was actually having a good game.
Yeah, and so like up until his injury, when he was about to whatever, I was like, holy crap, is this guy gonna be MVP? And he was on his way to probably being one of the most valuable players in the game.
Absolutely.
Right. So, but in terms of off season, I mean, I wonder where his actual, like, what team he fits in well with. Like, we saw, like, yeah, in a short sample, he was good with the Rams, but we also saw that in Cleveland where he was good for a little while, and then things went bad, or in New York when things were good for a while and then things went bad. So is this a trend, or is he just in a different environment? So I mean, I'd keep an eye out for that, and I think the Rams have the upper hand in any sort of negotiation if they decide to keep him.
Yep.
We're gonna let you come back. Let's say week 10, because that's give you time to get back into week 10. Work your knee in, whatever, and you don't
Mhm.
have to be the biggest guy there, and you just prove to us that you're a teammate. So
Yep.
I mean,
I
I like
think
to see him come back and play well, because he's a very good player. It's just it's that trend we talk about. A lot of athletes currently who are great talents, but then they have that attitude thing, or they don't gel with the team very well. And talk about James Harden is what I'm thinking of when I say that. But
Yeah.
you know what I mean, or Ben Simmons. So
I was going to say the two people that just got traded for each other.
yeah, basically. But so I'm wishing him the best. I want to see him come back, because he was at high level when he was before the injury.
Mm-hmm.
It also amazes me. So he only played 8 games for the Rams, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think regular season games for the Rams. He had 5 touchdowns, which is great. Good
Mm-hmm.
production. He was averaging 38.1 yard per game. I think he had a couple like 0-yard games basically.
Yep.
In Cleveland, he only had 7 touchdowns in 29 regular season games.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that just shows you that there's something wrong in Cleveland, right? I know I'm getting off topic. Just there's something wrong with either the scheme or something didn't work for OBJ.
Well,
I
I think
think
there's two. I think there's two things. One, Cleveland is 90% run, so there's
Right.
that.
Fair.
Two, Matt Stafford's a much better quarterback than Baker Mayfield is.
Yeah.
There's that as well, and I think it's one of those. The other third thing is OBJ was not the number one option on the LA Rams,
Right.
yeah.
so he gets open a lot more, faces the second corner a lot
That's
more.
true.
Compared to Cleveland, where it was him and Jarvis Landry, and who are you going to cover out of him and Jarvis Landry? You're going to cover OBJ. So you're going to get a lot of double teams. He's going to
Depends
get
on
a
the
lot
game
of
plan.
over. To be honest, I really don't think it does. If I'm looking, I'm letting Jarvis Landry torch me if that's the case. I'm not letting OBJ torch me.
Okay. Fair enough.
It's going to be one of those. He's going to face a lot of double teams. Going to face a lot of cover or over top coverages and like all that kind of stuff. Like if you're going to let OBJ win, it's on 15-yard routes, not 35-yard routes.
All right, Irfan, quickly throw the question to Kyle.
So last week we talked about whether or not Matthew Stafford is considered an elite quarterback. Nick says yes. I say maybe top tier, not elite. What are your thoughts?
And when we say elite, what level are we putting them? Are we putting on par with Mahomes and Josh Allen?
Well, not them, but I think he was saying more so, let's say the Drew Brees era, right? Like the guys
the
in that
era
era.
that he was dominant in.
Yeah.
If that was the case, then he's the level just below that. I would say if you look at his stats, everything he did with the Rams this year, he was doing with Detroit anyways. There was no difference in the stats. But in saying that, I think Breeze, Manning, Brady, Rodgers, all that kind of stuff were on a different level compared to him. And maybe it was just purely success. I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but to me, it was those 4 or 5, and then it was to me then it was like Stafford, Roethlisberger, like those type of quarterbacks where it was they're putting up stats and they might have great years, but they're not on the same level as the other guys. Is my personal opinion.
Okay, and the reason that I said that I do think he could be an elite quarterback when all is said and done is because in 4 less seasons, but let's say 1 full season as a starter, Matt Stafford has only 6,000 yards less than Aaron Rodgers in their careers.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're talking just pure stats and that kind of stuff, he's 12th all time in passing.
Oh no, I'm saying could he be there? Yes, but is he there? No.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
That's fair.
I think adding the Super Bowl puts him a step ahead of other people. I would say that.
Like, we're saying he's better than Eli, right?
Yeah, as a quarterback, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously
As a
Eli
quarterback.
has 2 Super Bowls, so there's that on
Right.
his resume.
But I'm saying as a quarterback, as an elite
Yeah.
skilled quarterback,
Yeah,
Matt Stafford is ahead of Eli Manning, right?
I would say so.
Yeah, I agree with that.
That was my point. Because people put
Yeah.
Eli's top 10 all time in passing yards. A lot of people don't realize that.
Yeah. But I mean, if we're talking about the era, we're talking about, to me, there's 4 names that stand out. And even then, I would, like, if we're talking regular season, Rodgers would be in there. If we're talking playoffs, Rodgers would not be in my top 3.
Right.
So, to me, it's Brady, Manning, Breeze is my top 3. And then Rodgers, I think, would be my
top 3 all
4th.
time.
And then, yeah. And then I would say, if we're talking top 5, I would say Stafford has a shot to be at number 5.
That's all I needed as proof. Thank you. Quickly, thoughts on the halftime show, because I thought it was incredible. It was fun to watch, and I know it was a little bit nostalgia for our era, who grew up kind of at the end of the Snoop and Dre and into the Eminem and stuff like that. Like that was us.
Mhm.
But man, it was fun to watch, right, Irfan?
So you guys are gonna hate me. I changed the channel to watch curling during the halftime show because I think the Japanese women were playing and they were having a hell of a tournament. So I was like, oh, I want to go watch them play. But I didn't watch it, so I will bar myself away from an opinion. I just heard it was very good and that it was better than Prince, and I don't know if I
I don't know
believe
about
that.
that. I'm not going to say it was better than Prince. It was comparable to Prince, for sure.
We're recording this, right?
No, of
It's
course.
being recorded, yes.
Yeah, can we post that clip later on saying he left the
Yes.
halftime
Don't
show
worry.
to go watch
It
curling?
will be the promo. Don't worry. Women's curling.
I wouldn't watch curling if I had a chance to watch grass grow instead. So,
Oh, hey, now, okay, a little bit too far there.
No, it's really not. It's quite an honest statement. I hate watching curling. It's boring as hell. I mean, if I want to go watch a rock go to throw down ice, I'll go do it in my driveway. So,
today.
Yeah. So, I mean, hey, to each their own. I'm not going to say anything, but Jesus.
You did already.
I went on my rant. No, to be honest, it was a great halftime show. I kind of wish like Eminem did a couple more, like one more song. Like the fact they only did one song each, to me kind of was like, eh. But
they needed to each do like 2 or 3, and then it would have been incredible. But it would have been like
100%. I mean, Mary J. Blige did her one song. 50 did his one song. They're good. I don't need anything else from them.
But they could have still done. That's what I'm saying. Like, yes, those guys could have done one and been fine. But had they all done 2 or 3, it would have been incredible. Still, like,
100%. No, I think to be honest, if they had 5-10 more minutes, I think that would have gone down probably as one of the best Super Bowl shows ever. I think it's still going to be probably top 3.
Yeah,
I would say. I mean, I think Prince kind of set the precedent of that, and I don't think it's really going to be touched unless there's. I mean, I did see this thing that if you have Shania Twain go and do the halftime show, and the first song is "Let's Go Girls," every single person watching football and in the stadium will go nuts, and that could be close to where Prince is. We'll see, but I mean that's a different story.
But the other thing is,
but no,
like,
it was.
The only thing I want to add about the Prince one is like everything happened perfectly.
100%.
It was raining. He sang "Purple Rain" in Minnesota. Like, you can't beat that.
No, all the boxes were checked. You're good.
So yeah. Anyways, I'll let you finish.
But no. In saying that, it was a great halftime show. I mean, I can't complain about it. I enjoyed it thoroughly. I mean, I was singing along to all the songs because that was basically like my childhood songs. So, and it was one of those I wouldn't change it for the world. I mean, as I said before, it was a fantastic Super Bowl, fantastic halftime show. Can't go wrong.
Dexy agrees with you, by the way. They say best halftime show in at least a decade.
Oh, for sure.
And they said, well said to what you said about it as well. So, well done, Kyle.
Appreciate it.
That'll do it for our kickoff segment, guys. If you are looking for year-round professional development with elite competition, you need to train with the Canada Kicking Academy. Visit them at CanadaKickingAcademy.com or on Instagram at Canada Kicking Academy.